give it to Sponge, but it's real tough because I'm kind of also feeling like Taeyoon, the maximum amount of damage. That's the kind of game
probably
where,
Sponge or Scout. Probably would have been my choice.
That's the kind of game we watch a team play, and you're like, wow, everyone really reached their maximum there. And that's what it's going to take to upset win against Hanwha Life eSports. Is let's take a look at what Kanavi's going to have his hands on here in this game. We talked about they rarely go to 3, where he gets pushed a little bit. And be here, things could get a little tougher, as once again, Guma will lose his Ashe and Varus. He even had 580 carry bans against him last game, and still popped off on the Corki.
Yeah. I mentioned it during the cast. I was kind of surprised to see him get Corki Nami after that many bans. Was a little bit confusing, and we saw just how much he was able to do on the Corki. But that was game 2, and now it's time to move into game number 3. Vi going to be taken away.
That makes sense.
Kanavi.
Makes a lot of sense, especially with the strong mid picks that Zeka has that he can pair well with it. Orianna's gone and Rumble's gone. The Pantheon is obviously still fearlessly banned. Bit of a tricky one here in this final spot.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're most concerned about. Okay, Annie feels like a great ban because she just works with so many things so well, even from behind, as BDD showcased earlier today. First pick, what is it going to be here? Hanwha Life eSports went for counter pick. You know, Sion, I don't think is what you want to grab here blind. The Ezreal is open. Taeyoon's going to smile and swap over to the Yunara. So how can Hanwha Life eSports deny the Lulu pick, right? Like, that's the thing you might want to try to grab here. Ambessa jungle. Probably not the best idea. With
I think
Ambessa
Garen
rate.
is a good choice, yeah.
Maybe, you know, I mean, look, Nocturne's available. Nocturne Lulu's been a pretty strong combo. If you're thinking about the Lulu, they are picking the Lulu. They're just not sure what they're picking it with.
Yeah,
the Lulu,
start with the Lulu.
And the Fury Lulu has been recently proven to be another thing that was a top lane performance. And Kanavi says, well, considering it, this is so funny to watch. Like, well, we are literally just finding something that works with Lulu, because the main thing is they can't have Lulu. We're not going to allow it. The Nocturne is the one that KT showcased very early on in the season, and I think is the most common one. Used to be Ambessa before this, but what's the answer now? Wukong, probably, for Sponge, but what support does Lehends play alongside this Yunara now in the bottom lane?
Tier list-wise, Neeko's still available.
Yeah.
Could be something you consider. And yeah, I think I mean, I was going to say you have to deny it, but they already picked Lulu, so you could still pick it, but they do go for Wukong first.
Wukong first, and then the only other option would be like Blitzcrank, right? Is the one that comes into my mind. Like, Yunara Thresh hasn't really been a thing. That hasn't taken off. Tom Kench, not really in a spot to where we see stuff like that anymore. It would be a horrible lane into whatever is playing with this Lulu. Emilio was really not on my bingo card, nor was it on the official LCK bingo card.
Yeah. Neeko.
Guma, he can play a lot of different things here. He honestly could even play Aphelios if you wanted to, if they can back up the front line.
He's saying Xayah.
It is a comfort pick for him. I think not great into Wukong, though, as we've discussed many times here.
Yeah, Xayah Lulu definitely has a Guma kind of feel to it. Certainly not your most standard lane. But you have Lulu Nocturne, and then Guma gets to play whatever he's comfortable on. So we'll see how it works all together.
Okay, so now in terms of bans, we have the bottom and jungle locked up for both teams. We're looking at the mid lane, I think, right now. Scout versus Zeka. Interesting to see the LeBlanc ban with the Azir that it's been the counter pick for already fearlessly banned. And Kanavi's jungle is already locked in. Banned some safe blind top picks is what I thought we'd see from Hanwha Life eSports, but counter pick is going to come into a big play here. It's going to be NS RedForce who have to go for that blind pick. Well, Vayne gets banned.
I think they want to play a frontlining something that is melee.
Like Renekton, which is going to be ban in response.
Yeah. It doesn't like Vayne. But there are a lot of other ones left.
Now,
Zion, you mentioned Cassante.
Counterpick goes to Zeus. So that's why they're banning some of the strong counterpicks here, but are you going to ban Kennen? Is that what your game plan is here? Not sure if that's one that I'm super on board with. It's a really tough call. Like, there is no actual best choice here. They pivot to the Mel. And with a nerf to the Q on this patch. So, what's going to be the blind pick? What's going to be the counter pick? Ahri, Nocturne with Lulu. I think it has legs. I think it works.
Yeah, you take it away from Scout as well.
Yeah.
Nice little Ahri Wukong combo.
Now, what if he just slams Lissandra? That would be crazy. Wouldn't be that crazy.
I think with Ambessa, you know.
Ambessa in the top lane with the Wukong pressure there.
Some extra engage, some CC.
I like this less, but it is very good into both the Lulu and the Xayah, because Xayah can avoid some of the damage, but the Akali is very sticky, very difficult to get away from. All right, what's the answer going to be here?
He always has a smirk. What's it going to be this time, Zeus?
GP? He's probably just going to play Cassante and be unhappy. Oh, Rek'Sai. Forgot about Rek'Sai. It was Hubbard earlier.
He's not smiling anymore.
Sad.
Not exactly the most fun pick, but it can tank. It can frontline.
There is no point-and-click CC. There is no simple way to kill Taeyoon in this game. I think that is what this game is going to come down to for me. Is whether or not Taeyoon can, because there are a lot of ways to kill him. There are a lot of threats. You got to deal with Polymorph. You got to deal with Feathers getting pulled back. Charm. Nocturne's up on top of you all the time. You got to watch out for that Rek'Sai knockup. You got to watch out for that Rek'Sai ult. But if you can position well, and you're the last one cleaning up the fight every time, or if Lehends is able to set up the team fights where you can get an advantage early, and the Wukong helps both engage for you and peel for you, you can make it work. But I think this game is going to be more about that than it is going to be about whether or not Guma pressed R at the right time against the engaged opportunities from Nongshim. And after that last game, I want to say I could trust. I want to say I could believe that Taeyoon can pull it off, that he can play this well. Got to watch that wild growth. The Nocturne is so scary here. This is going to be a banger. I really think this is the most interesting draft we've had of the series as well.
Yeah, you get to game 3 of Fearless. You begin to see some interesting combos come together. And Guma just goes back to comfort with the Xayah. And he has been fantastic on that. We'll see if it works out for him as we're getting ready for game number 3 between these two teams. Alrighty, game number 3. My first cast of a game 3, and it only took until match 32 to get here.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, it's weird. What is it like to cast a game 3? It's been so long for me.
Well, the momentum is definitely a little bit less clear than after casting a game 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because yes, there is still some momentum for Nongshim, but they also lost game 1 in a pretty decisive fashion. So yeah, that's something you have to keep in mind when you're trying to set the stakes. Also know that the players are not necessarily going to be playing their best picks, since in Fearless 20 champions will be banned.
Wow.
And also that there is a little element of fatigue. Now, that can change based on whether it's a 5-game day or a 6-game day, because in this case, it'll be the 5th game on the day, but it could have been the 6th. So that second, third game, with the teams showing up early just in case it was a 2-0, because that's regulation, could actually be be And honestly, Valdes, that's about the long and short of it, yeah.
All right,
so those are the things you have to keep in mind. That's what it's like when you cast the best of 3. Also, there is this game 3. Also, there's no tension about there being an additional game after this game based on the result, because it is the final.
Because it's decided after this one. Yeah, that makes sense.
So now I think you could do it. I think you can handle it based on that explanation.
All right. Well, I'll do my best. I think I have a pretty good sense after your fantastic explanation of what happens in a game 3. But we'll have to wait and see.
That happens at a level 3 for the Akali in a matchup like this. Electrocute on Ignite on the other side is she goes home. But you already had a sense of that. You've already experienced it.
Yeah, I have cast an Akali before. Not in a game 3 in LCK though, so that's new to me. So maybe it has a slightly different feel.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these Akalis that we're seeing really pop off and do quite a lot, but it doesn't feel like it wins.
I don't like it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't like it because, and I've said this before, you know what I'm going to say, doesn't have CC, and it needs to be accelerated early, and if it doesn't offer anything. Annie from behind from BDD, for example, you know, that kind of pick, does a lot even from behind. Even in a Azir can save the game at like 0 and 3. Ahri, same thing. You hit that charm on the right target. Almost every meta pick has some game warping features. Taeyoon?
We're just going in here. The slow is big and the flash root. Taeyoon waiting until the last moment just to flash and just dies instead.
My trust meter a little bit dropping. But that was a phenomenal play from Guma, man. That's why he's like, pick me the Xayah Lulu lane. It's me. This is what I do. That was one of the flashiest plays we've seen from Guma all year. And it is in a high-stakes game 3, where he ends up making a huge impact, and he pulls up a 400 gold lead on this back. Watch the feather flash timing here on the pullback.
Bottom.
And
Nice.
it's the picks that does him in. Extra damage coming through. He was extremely confident with it.
Yeah, I feel like Taeyoon, a lot of the times, he is very much a play-on-the-edge player, and sometimes that gets him in a lot of trouble. Like, even in this one, I feel like after he flashes on you, the second you can flash, you just gotta get out of there, you know? But he waits and tries to flash, like, perfectly, and that gets him in trouble. He actually dies instead.
Yeah. Really hard to outplay the flash there from Guma, but
yeah,
after that, certainly could have had a little bit more, you know, could have played a little bit less greedy. A lot of damage coming through from Taeyoon off after this back. Picks up a cull and a refillable versus the Caulfields for Guma. But Taeyoon will be a huge threat later on in this game. Probably. I mean, that's Yunara will be if it gets delayed, is what I mean to say. Not promising anything. A little bit of poke coming through from Lehends. That's kind of how you have to play these types of lanes in the Lulu. To get as much done as you can, and Taeyoon trade as well as he can when his Q is up. He does not have barriers, so can't push this any further. So Akali, you know, we were talking about it before that, but if it gets ahead in the right hands, you know, we've seen what it can do. Scout on the receiving end of it himself a few worlds ago against Faker's Akali. There is so much that the Akali offers you in a draft like this too, because it's sticky onto the Xayah. But we're gonna have a bit of a Kanavi gank here, pre-6.
Now, Sponge is here too, so both of these level 6 junglers are like, we're gonna live in the bot lane because I can't farm anything at the moment. And it's Kanavi, so Sponge has to be here. But at the end of the day, it looks like Scuttler just gonna go the way of Kanavi, probably gonna hit level 6 off of that. There it is. And that's really what the big fight was all for.
Yeah, it does go over. Scout.
I mean, the Nocturne's right here. He has to know that. And the Fear going to be ulted away from is now Sponge kind of in an awkward spot. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's going to be a root. Now Scout's going to come back. Kanavi in a bunch of trouble. Has to flash at the very end, but it's Wukong who finishes the job as Lehends once more. He's not going to get it, but at least he gets the flash out of Zeka.
Yeah, and now Delight here is like trying to catch this wave. The camp's getting taken by Sponge, the Raptor camp there. He's going to get level 6. And Zeka's staying? I mean, Sponge doesn't have flash, so I guess he's fine. Fine is difficult to define.
They're trying to kill him. The heal came through, and the charm is not going to land, so.
That's some tightrope walking from Zeka there, but They try to do a little bait action, but at the end of the day, Wukong has 6 now, got the camps. Lehends down flash is pretty painful though, because that's one of his best ways to set up his engages. So before he has Rocket Belt, it's going to be painful that that did not secure the kill. We'll go back to this scrap. Initially, it looks like Scouts made a huge overstep here, especially because Kanavi has 6 and Wukong does not, right? His jungler actually cannot impact this play. He's very close to 6. If Sponge has 6 here, this is a fantastic setup and a bait. Kanavi 6 around too long. Lehends actually is the MVP of this one, forces him to flash. Sponge goes in and takes the kill. And then Lehends flashes here, but a little bit of a miscalculation on the damage. Still, enough to get the Ahri flash at the end of the day.
Yeah. Saw his auto was like just about to charge up, but for Zeka's sake, he was able to flash away. So pretty good response from Zeka, but now he's down his flash. Not going to matter as much as Ahri, but still got to play safe, especially because Sponge is now level 6. And the Akali all of a sudden has an assist under her belt. No first item, though. I think Akali before first item is kind of just like, I can take trades against you, but the chances of me actually killing you are basically zero unless you mess up.
You need help, generally. I mean, Daystar's had some fancy moments, but
that's my boy.
I don't know how much I really want to watch this top lane right now, but the observers are into it. Who am I to stop them? There's going to be Kingen trading aggressively. The lane is basically dead even. We've watched this matchup a ton. Rek'Sai was not considered a counter, but neutralizer in this matchup for a while. Kanavi's going to look to take this first dragon. We do have a sneaky Lehends, although it's pretty transparent that that's him, coming over here, but it's too slow. Guma has flash and ult, so there's nowhere they can go with this to try to catch or punish. I think everyone relevant in this fight has flash. Kanavi doesn't, but he wasn't going to be the target. Scout looking for a potential angle.
Yeah, just traded damage. I mean, Sponge, we saw him run across mid to try to get to the dragon, and now he's running back across mid to get to the Scuttle Crab. So that's not going to be the grubs in his pocket. Not yet, at least.
No.
So that's a bit delayed.
Teleport coming through from Scout. Nothing to fight for right now. I mean, obviously, Kanavi could have tried to ult in here or something if he had vision. As Lehends with the defensive ult.
Yeah, it's going to get the Feather Storm and Guma's flash for that. But Taeyoon is no longer in the lane. And guess who's here?
Zeka's here.
Engage Cone. He's ready to party. And Taeyoon had no idea. He's just dead. The charm is going to land after the polymorph. And guess what? They might win on both sides of the map as we have the public execution to come down. And that's a kill on the Kingen as well.
Disaster here for Nongshim. And all of a sudden, it's a massive lead here for Hanwha Life eSports. They had a pretty significant advantage in the bottom lane, but now that has extended to nearly 1,000 gold here with the additional plate picked up. And watch this, they look for the aggressive trade. Lehends is like, I gotta ult here to keep Taeyoon healthy. Taeyoon also drops his ult, doesn't have it anymore. Has flash and barrier, but he's like, I guess we'll live to fight another day. And I guess it wasn't communicated to him that Zeka was roaming down. Like, I can't otherwise understand why you would think it was okay to back there if you don't know, because Ahri can, get over walls and blast cone in. Then here, maybe he wasn't aware that that was happening bottom side without Kanavi and thought, oh, I'm going to cross map by pushing aggressively, and then was caught because Kanavi was not bottom lane. Hard to know, but I think a bit of a flub here in this early game for Nongshim that's going to cost them big.
Yeah, and it's really great to see Guma and Delight really putting on the pressure here, A lot of times they'll just kind of sit back. They can trade and get leads in lane, of course, but, looking for kills, being aggressive, trying to, get summoners out of them, really push the envelope as much as possible. Especially on Xayah Lulu. I mean, that's not... it's no Jhin Bard, but still able to really kind of own the lane so far.
This is definitely a big departure from how Hanwha Life eSports have been playing the last few matches with just the, Xin Zhao Jarvan every game, but it's working really well. Kanavi going to get collapsed on here. Gets rooted.
He gets rooted as well, and there's the Cyclone into the triple Neeko onto all of them, and now Guma has to go into the Feather Storm. He still wants to fight, but even with the Wild Growth and a big shield coming in, the flash from Sponge gets the kill, and Taeyoon cleans up house. So now we got a TP behind. In comes Zeus, but so does Kingen. Has a nice charm on a Taeyoon actually there from the side of Zeka. And all of a sudden, all these low health bars are just easy pickings for the side of HLE, as there's the predict. Zeka gets in and picks up a double kill.
Scout's going to get plates here in the mid lane, so there's at least that going for them, as he did not have teleport, so it was only the solo laners who could join, or rather the top laners who could join. Initially in this fight, it looks like Kanavi's made a big error, and you're like, okay, this is a disaster, right? He's going to get caught by the Cyclone. Second activation of Cyclone goes off here, and Guma's able to escape it, so Guma plays this really well, has the wild growth, but still gets flashed on. But now Sponge is super deep. Zeka shows up, and now you're trapped in this scrappy fight with an Ahri that's going to get resets. And Taeyoon does not have summoners. Not much he can do there is a great charm from Zeka. If that misses, I think there's definitely a little bit of wiggle room at least here for Gnome. And Sponge just has to do what he can here to hopefully take Zeka out, but he just does not have the damage. And all the while, the Akali didn't show up. So, you know, if Akali is coming down that whole time with full health in that scrap, then totally different story. But Scout did not opt in.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that can feel pretty frustrating, rather, because Zeka, you know, he's got Ignite. He does not have TP. He just simply walked on down and was there ahead of time. And Scout, of course, didn't have his TP, but he definitely could have showed up a little bit late. But again, if you don't make the move initially, then you're not going to make it later. A Scout maybe looking for this as the Q lands, but he's not able to finish off Zeka.
Sponge should be able to.
Yeah. As, yeah, that'll be the end of that. Sponge picks up a lot of gold.
And Zeka has been roaming so much. Look at Scout's farm lead. This is kind of similar to what happened last game, where he was given a ton of time alone in sides. And maybe this is kind of how Nocturne been playing. Because remember, we talked about this earlier on this week in the Bro Series, where we were like, Scout's just AFK farming, but yeah, it seems to be something they've been working on here, and he's picked up a lot of money because of it. And so this time when he looks for the aggression, he has the backup, and they end up getting the kill, and likely, I don't think they got the entirety of that direction. No, they did get the turret there on the top side, so they get first brick as well. It's covered by the portraits. I didn't see the notification. This is all started off here by Scout pushing forward onto Zeka, doing a ton of damage. Zeka gets the charm, but now he has to flash, and it's a great flash, but Kanavi's nowhere nearby, right? He cannot paranoia, and he cannot bail him out. Turret's ramping, but Sponge plays this clean.
Yeah, first it was going to be pretty disappointing if he, you know, didn't get the kill and just traded flashes and he's super low himself, but the fact that Sponge gets up there and picks up a lot of gold, I mean, this is again another game where Sponge is just giga-fed. I mean, he is not playing Poppy now either. You know, he's actually got some real threat on a pick like Wukong.
Yeah, he went Triforce.
There are 4 threats on the side of Gnome.
Now he's got his Sundered Sky. Like, he's really quite ready to brawl with the enemy team. Zeus is trying to push this turret down. Actually, nearly gets it. Decides to back away, but it's practically dead. Now, in fact, he does get it with the last bit of those minions. The real scary part about this situation for Hanwha Life to me is they're 500 gold ahead now. They have a 2 Drake lead. But how do they keep Guma alive, and can they kill Taeyoon, right? Like, this is what we talked about in the draft. Taeyoon is, even with just a Kraken Slayer, big, scrappy skirmish fighter on this Yunara, as here comes the engage.
Lehends, he's going to find the Lulu here, and look, over the wall, they all go in on a Kanavi, as they had so many angles to collapse on a Hanwha Life eSports.
There's no TP from Zeus, obviously. He's in the bottom lane, cannot join the fight. And Zeka just wasn't able to get there either. He doesn't have TP, he didn't even take the summoner. And they're still kind of hanging out in the area, and it's Delight who's the victim. Well, the usage of his wild growth means that Kanavi dies, and Sponge will pick up the Herald here. And this Akali doesn't have any kills, but it's 700 gold up. And Taeyoon is ready to fight. You know, this is suddenly becoming quite a scary game for Hanwha Life eSports.
Yeah. I mean, especially because, like, Zeus playing tank Rek'Sai, even though he's very far ahead, it doesn't really matter all too much. You can see the big wraparounds here as the engage cone once again.
Delight has to wild growth himself to try to stay safe, but he does Kanavi dirty that way. I don't think he would have saved Kanavi, but my point is, fight was split. They weren't really in a position to actually hold that Herald aggro. And Zeka, the fact that he took the Ignite, you know, gave him a lot of power in lane, but he lost a ton of farm. He's 60 CS down now. And now it's hard for him to side lane because every time he does, he might just get outpaced on the map by Kingen and Scout.
Yeah.
Because he's not a top laner. He doesn't get teleport for free. And this is also really going to cost them because Kanavi can rotate, but he cannot.
That's mid-tier 1 already. 17 minutes to get it off the Rift Heralds. And that's, you know, Scout not joining the bottom lane fight, able to do a bunch of damage to the mid-tier 1 that allows that to happen. So already a nice amount of map control as we got a public execution here onto Zeus. Kingen just going to try to run him down, and Zeus might feel like, okay, I might be safe, but when Sponge shows up, that's going to be the end of him, as that will be the kill given over to Kingen.
And critically, Sponge didn't even have to ult there. He was ready to if he needed to, but he does not have to. So he actually gets to keep his ult for this upcoming team fight. Well, any upcoming team fight in the near future, because the objectives aren't spawning for a little while here. But my read is that, like, now the silent pressure is kind of unanswerable, right? If Zeus doesn't TP to that top turret, he's going to lose tons of plates, maybe even the whole thing. But if he does TP, he commits to being down TP while his other mid laner doesn't have TP at all. This is a great macro call from Nocturne. They're like,
he's not even going to be able to TP.
Yeah, he doesn't even get here in time. And so they get the turret, get away. And unfortunately for Zeka, his cross map just isn't backed up by any jungle attention or anything else. So they send Kanavi topside, but he cannot save the turret. The good news is, like you said, didn't use TP. He couldn't use TP, is what you said, but the fact that he still has TP means that maybe he can show up to a team fight. Also, we're at Chemtech Seoul, and Nocturne have no dragons. There's a little bit of ability for Hanwha Life eSports to say, I'm not interested if the fight doesn't look good. That's what those 2 dragons, the double dragon, does afford them.
Yeah. I just wonder what this game looks like as we go later and later. And, you know, like the Wukong, the Ambessa, even the Akali gonna be, like, relatively tanky. So even if you're going all in with Ahri and Nocturne, I don't know if that's enough damage by themselves. Like, obviously, Guma's playing the Xayah, but that's just one threat. Meanwhile, on the other side, Nocturne have 4. Like I mentioned before, because their Wukong is so fed, and everybody else is a carry, essentially, I think it's gonna be very difficult for HLE as this game comes along, as they're looking for the flank here on Taeyoon, as he is absolutely very caught, but they used everything to get him down, and eventually he does fall, as now the peel comes in for Guma, and they take down Sponge as well. Zeka makes his way in, as now trying to get all these low health bars, but the charm in the shroud, Zeka knocks down the Akali, and that might be the end of this one. Kingen just has to back away, and Lehends is just Neeko.
Yeah, it's a bit of a disaster here for Nocturne. And it's a catch on to Taeyoon. We kept talking about it so many times. Like, as long as he doesn't get caught, as long as he positions well. So difficult to get the lockdown onto him, but Zeus finds him over the wall there. And the follow-up is swift. Even though he survives initially and gets the peel there to come through from Lehends, there's just too many problems. There's too many threats. And the attempt from Scout was so late that even though the health bars were low, just gets CC'd. A little bit unfortunate for him because I think he might have been able to get more. So we're going to have a fight here for Dragon still.
Yeah, just trying to get in there and flip it, and that, it goes to Kingen. So that's just a Chemtech Drake over to Nocturne.
Kanavi wasn't there, so just a smiteless Dragon attempt just goes completely awry. But look at Zeus here on this flank. Doesn't even need the Blast Cone. Goes straight on top of this Yunara. And frankly, his positioning was pretty suspect in general because Delight was also there, like Guma was there. If there's anybody anywhere near him over the wall, he's gonna have a problem. A Scout here, watch this charm. Knock up first, charm straight into it.
Oh, they're just doing Baron.
Yeah, and I think this is absolutely warranted. As in live,
Ambessa's dead. So, let's take the objective, I guess.
And there's just no answer in live, as we saw the steal happen there. Hanwha Life eSports end up with a massive opportunity now to push this lead back into their favor. Like, in terms of gold right now, it's dead even. I like their position because I expect, as I think we all do, this composition will be able to get a little bit of Baron value. But it's not the strongest. You know, 1-3-1 has a teleportless Ahri. And Zeus has already used his teleport, so Nocturne have a lot of cards here they can play with. Gotta be Taeyoon though, as Scout.
This is some long-range engage from Zeus. Has this tank Rek'Sai really getting some value.
Like, Rek'Sai, he seems like on his player cam, He never wants to play it, but he's fooling me with that, or trying to fool me with that, because I'm watching him play it, and he's having a lot of fun. And I don't think this is really an overextension here for the side of Hanwha Life eSports. Sponge has flash and ult, but there's no great target as IE is picked up here for Guma. Some of this Baron timer getting whittled away at by this defensive play here from Nongshim. But going back to Taeyoon, like, he's on 2 items. If he can get to 3, he's a whole item down right now, but if he can get to 3, it's going to do a lot of consistent damage. They have a lot of tools. But, you know, the bigger problem is Guma. If he's set up by Zeus, or if Taeyoon just dies, I mean, Guma's a whole item ahead, and no one can kill him. No one can match him in damage.
Yeah. Especially, like, right now. It just feels like HLE have a lot of power.
I like that they're just...
third item.
Not to interrupt, but like Taeyoon is just sitting over here in the bottom lane trying to get money. He's like, I need money. Just buy time. I'm getting money. I'm going to get the whole turret. Give me any money I can get, because he needs it so desperately right now, and he's going to get a bunch of plate gold right now.
Yeah, HLE trying to take down 2 lanes at the same time to try to get value for essentially the split pushing Yunara. So another charm's going to land there on the scout, and there's the Shuriken trying to go in on the Zeka, looking for the assassination. He flashes the fat wall. As now we got Kanavi going super deep. Not sure about that as Zeus as well, reminding us of another game. As now Guma's over the wall, and nobody's really able to knock him down. He does not have any summoners though. But Taeyoon is still not here, by the way.
Yeah, if they could somehow defend this inhibitor, I feel like it could kind of be okay. I mean, it's not great, but it's the best they could have hoped for in this really horrible situation. They get the inhibitor turret, and Zeus so close to this, and they actually defend. Well, oh, okay, they do defend.
Yeah.
Cannon aggro resets. Okay, look at the gold here for Taeyoon that he just picked up. He picks up a BF sword. Now he's not able to yet get that third item.
Sure.
He's farmed up a storm. Yeah, that was crazy. And then here's Zeus and Kanavi go a little bit too deep. Like, that Ambessa is got a lot of dashes, and then the ult comes through from Lehends. You could argue with this re-engage here and the knockup, the wild growth knockup, that Hanwha Life eSports could have maybe tried to push this advantage further with all the tools that were used, but they play it safer. But as a result, both inhibitors survive. I still think Hanwha are in an amazing position in this game. The ultimate for Kanavi is on such a low cooldown. It comes back super fast here. And they also have the 2 Drake lead. They could go for this Chemtech Soul Point. But Taeyoon is getting bigger. And if you're a Nongshim fan, you just have to pray that that is going to be enough. And also that Scout will hit amazing shurikens and back his way to victory as well.
Yeah. Still do think eventually Nongshim definitely do have a lot of power, but this is really where HLE are very strong. They're trying to push the envelope here as in they go. The Neeko ult only onto 1, and HLE just press all their buttons. They access the back line, and they totally wipe Nongshim, who were posturing so aggressively for just the Chemtech Drake. And they're going to pay the price for that one.
The price may be the Nexus. This inhibitor is naked. There's 2 waves of minions here, one of them a cannon wave. This inhibitor is already very wounded from the previous push. Scout alone, I mean, he has flash. He's got a rocket belt and a dream of defending this. We'll see what he can get done here. 15 seconds on Taeyoon. Sponge will not have ult on respawn. They're playing this a little timid, get the second inhibitor and then back away. Perhaps learning from their previous overextension.
Feels like a good call, didn't have enough of a wave.
So this play here, I mean, it's Zeka on the angle, does a ton of damage, and then the follow-up here from Kanavi is unreal at the wild growth. And Taeyoon, he has to live for Nongshim to win fights, and he keeps dying first. They are making it work. They're answering the question we had. And he's so far behind as well. Hanwha Life eSports will get Soul Point here. 4 minutes plus on 2 sets of inhibitors. 1 minute until Baron. You know, Hanwha Life eSports have all of the very easy and basic steps. You know, it's macro ABC 1, 2, 3 for them to control vision, deny camps, reset, get items, take Baron, use Baron plus super minions to close out the game. And, or at least get the 3rd inhibitor. And that, I mean, from that point on, you have full map control for Soul and a potential Elder fight if it comes to it, which is looking less and less likely.
Well, somebody's got to check, but it's still very early. We got 20 seconds until the Baron even spawns. But Lehends trying to do his best to just get in there alongside a Sponge. Yeah, this TP is going pretty deep both ways, as now they're trying to find Zeka. And I mean, this is Ahri, but a lot of... Okay, he's just going to go straight to the team.
Got the paranoia out.
Yeah. He's actually going to pull the trigger here onto Kingen. And already a bunch of damage just poking into them. Even the fear to land.
So many clones of Wukong here is very frustrating to try to position against.
Look at the base. They can just wait for this. HLE do not have to, you know, press the issue right now. But eventually the back is going to come in from Kingen, so now...
I think Nongshim, with Kingen having TP, they can really play this the way they want to. They need to play very slow, but there's a real angle for them to win this fight, get Baron, and get back into this game. Kingen has to clear this top wave as fast as possible, though. There's buying time.
Yeah, HLE really want to force this TP now. All right, the Neeko ults, the engage. They try to go in on Aguma, but he gets a big Feather Storm, and the Cyclone goes in. The Wild Growth is there, but they take him down, and the damage is there, and the cleanup is here for Taeyoon, and Zeus alone, not able to do anything, and this is exactly the fight that Nocturne were looking for.
It's a clean ace, it looks like.
Yes, it is. If Zeus dies, which is really burning down, Taeyoon really wants it, but again, I think just take the objective, go back and clear the waves, because you got a lot of work to do, Nongshim.
Yeah, but this is the first step of many it will take for them to get back into this game truly, but
Taeyoon just hit IE as well, the spike.
Like, this fight here for Nongshim, the way they set this up, how patiently they play this, the fact they play through the teleport, this is beautiful play. Now, this is why I said I didn't like Xayah necessarily into this comp, because yeah, you got your ult, but there are just too many things, and Wukong can just continue. His ult persists through your ultimate, gets the secondary knock up there. Scout does so much burst damage if you are locked down, and it's fairly simple to clean up from there. Now, a minute and a half, approximately a piece, but average between these two inhibitors going down. Those will respawn, but they have the Baron buff to make sure that there's really no opportunity for a backdoor or anything like that. They're doing their due diligence right now. You can see partially through Scryer's Blooms to make sure there's no TP angle or anything like that in the base. But Zeus' TP isn't even up for a really long time here. And Nongshim are probably going to have to use this Baron to get Prio to look for setting up traps to get the next Baron if they're going to win this game. Like, if Nongshim win this game, we are not close to the ending.
Yeah.
But if they lose even one team fight handily, Hanwha Life eSports just go straight down mid and end it themselves. So they have to play aggressively through this Baron, but also not too aggressively.
Yeah, it's a good point, because, you know, you get Baron, but if Taeyoon is, like, up in the lane and just dies, like, who cares what buffs you have, really, unless it's Elder and you have a lot of, you know, other options here. Zeus a little bit deep.
Zeka baiting.
Yeah, nice little charm. But we're already getting to that point where, you know, Scout even a little bit tanky, Sponge a little bit tanky. They're trying to get on top of Kanavi here, as there is the root. Everything's going to miss here from Zeka. They get the paranoia. Now the turn on Aguma. Oh! As the Wild Growth is huge, and he goes golden, and Guma avoids everything. And this time, HLE get the fight they were looking for. The peel comes in for Guma, and the rest of the team falls apart as Nongshim overextend. And Kingen can't get it done all by his lonesome. As maybe he survives, but no, it's not going to happen. He sticks in there. It's an ace for the side of HLE, a clean one this time for them.
So close to the potential comeback. You could almost taste the Shinramen from here, Valdes, but it is not going to be the case here in your first game 3 of the season.
Crazy.
Lehends drops everything into the spell shielding Nocturne, and the fight ensues in such a poor way. The Wild Growth denial of Scout's follow-up was such a game changer there. And even though Guma had some struggles in the late game, his back was had by Delight in that final moment. And I think Nongshim cannot be too upset